This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
From the law offices of Julie A. Schejbal, based out of Dunkirk, Maryland, Julie A. Schejbal herself joins us one more time, and we're excited to talk more about her work as an estate attorney and really her practice, which is full service. So welcome back to the show today. I cannot believe it's podcast 10. How have you been?
I've been terrific, Jill. How are you?
Great, thank you. Can't complain. Summer's going well, a little too
It
fast,
is
but
too fast, but good. It's always like I think summer never always goes too fast.
of course it does. But we're excited to have you back to learn all
So thank
about
you.
the work you're doing. And for those new timers out there, just give us a little history of the type of work that you do, and then we're going to start for our topics today.
Perfect. I have a full service estate planning firm located in Southern Maryland. I do wills, trust, powers of attorney, medical directives. I also help people with probate after somebody dies. I set up trusts for people, and I can also help them with guardianships and other elder law type of things like Medicaid planning. So pretty much full service in the elder law area.
Beautiful. Well, we're excited you're back today, and I want to hear some more stories as well. I'm sure you've been in and out of court. We'll get to some of that a little bit later. Let's
Yeah.
start with estate tax implications. So, are there any estate tax implications in the latest Tax Act? What is the Tax Act for those that don't really know or
Well, so
understand
everybody
it?
thinks about it as it passed, I think July, it was signed by President Trump July
Yes.
4th, and everybody
Yes.
thinks about it and I think what did they call it? The big beautiful bill or one big
Mm-hmm.
beautiful bill or something in that vein. But anyway, what there weren't a whole lot of estate tax implications in that bill. What the primary one is that the bill does permanently increase the estate tax threshold to it's going to be 15 million January 1st. And that's
Wow.
for single individuals and 30 million for a married couple. And what was going to happen if it hadn't been part of the act, or if that act had expired, the threshold for single individuals would have gone down to approximately half of 15 million. So right around 7 million, 7.5 million, or 15 million for married couples. So that's a good thing, because then it means for you to pay estate tax to the federal government as a single individual, you have to have over $15 million in your
Yeah.
pocket
Wow.
when you die. So for a lot of people, what that effect is that it's made permanent and that you're not going to have to worry about tax planning at the federal level.
Yeah.
The other thing with that 15 million is it's indexed for inflation. So starting January 1st, 2027, it won't be 15 million. It should be something increased above 15 million. And so when we're talking 15 million, an increase, if the rate of inflation is 3%,
Yeah.
that number becomes a lot of money, right? Because it's
Yeah.
3% of 15 million, whatever that happens
Sure.
to be.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, as people's net worth will grow, the threshold is going to grow with them. So I think that's a helpful thing.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
think people
Yeah.
should be aware of that. But
Okay.
the important thing about that is that's the federal level. If you live in a state, Maryland imposes a state tax, other states do. Um, you want to check back with your local council because it does not impact local estate tax.
Okay.
So you might be scot-free in Maryland because you don't have 15 million, but
Yeah.
if you're a married couple with 12 million, you're going to have an estate tax issue.
Got it. Got it. Wow. This is the greatest wealth transfer in history. Is that what we're saying? Wait.
Well, right. That's what people are saying. The pundits are saying we're looking at the
Yeah.
greatest wealth transfer in history as baby boomers age and they're passing away, and the World War II generation is passing away, and whatever's in between that. And the thing about that is we're looking at all of these people passing away, and we are woefully unprepared for this. Not necessarily for the wealth, because everybody's prepared to get money, but less than 70% of Americans have wills or any type of plan. So we're looking at all of this wealth possibly transferring to the next generation, and it's like a rudderless ship. Nobody's mom and dad have not made a plan for where their money and property is going to go when they die.
Mm-hmm.
So And then what these people are doing without their plan is they're counting on their state, their local jurisdiction to plan for them. And I talk about the law of unintended consequences. So I'm starting a case now. The woman passed away. We did her plan. So fortunately, her plan
Okay.
is in place. We're going to say it's a good plan. I don't know. But I think it's what she wanted. But she had no children. She was an only child. Her
Ah,
husband was an only child. And one of the things we had to do is we have to trace the family tree. And
okay.
she was also like in her early 90s or late 80s. So um, we actually had to hire a service to trace this tree because we didn't know anything about it. And
Got it.
so tracing it back, and like her parents are born in like the 1800s, or we're
Okay.
tracing things back. So we're going way back, right? Like
Okay.
not modern times. And we find that the people who are living, there's some cousins or whatever. And I got a
Mm-hmm.
call from one of the cousins yesterday to say, hey, what is this about? Now she was her undying my undying gratitude is she was just amazed that I had found her. She didn't care about
Oh,
the money or anything else. I mean, it was kind of a refreshingly adult call, to be honest. But if this person had not done her plan, would have had to start passing money out to these cousins who, I mean, the cousin's comment was, I kind of knew I had this cousin
ah,
named, Tammy or whatever, but I'd never met her. And,
yeah.
she lived in a different state. The ironic thing is this woman lived in Virginia and my client lived in Maryland. And the first thing out of the cousin's mouth was, oh, I knew she lived out of state. And so it sounded like she thought she lived like in Hawaii or, New York or wherever instead of like maybe an hour and a half away or whatever. So, but then, in that case, it would have gone to these remote family members. So
Got it.
fortunately, she had a plan in place. But if you don't want your money and property to go to remote planning family members, I suggest you kind of think about things that you want to do.
Oh my
Also, I
goodness.
would say that with that, it's not only so 30, if 70% don't have a plan, 30% do.
Got it.
That's good. But I would also guess that of that 30%, there might be people whose plan is woefully out of date.
Yep.
Just because you're in the right side of this equation doesn't mean that you're absolutely perfect at any
Got it.
time.
Yeah. So let's talk about what makes it outdated and how often should we look at this? And divorce changes so much too, right? There's so much to figure out. What do we need? What documents?
Right. So, I mean, one of the things that makes go outdate a plan, some of it is not even things that happen to you personally, it's changes in the law. So, over the last 20 years, there's been, I would say, at least three tax acts that have had varying degrees of uh, have impacted your estate plan by various degrees. But what's happened is if you haven't looked at your plan since the early
Oh
2000s,
gosh.
yeah, and there are people who haven't. That means that because of the Tax Act, your plans might be well overcompl maybe overcomplicated. At that point, maybe we were doing a lot of planning because we didn't want the government to get as much money, so we had very complex plans. Now, if you're a single individual looking at a $15 million threshold or a married couple looking at 30 million, you may say, I don't need this anymore. I have $10 million. I'm well under this threshold and I'm 85 years old. I don't think I'm going to get over 15 million if I'm single or 30 million if I'm a married couple. And I would always say to those clients, yes, and we should hope you get over there because what that means is the market, your investments did well. I'm hoping my investments also did that well, and we're all growing happy together. So, but the point would be is you may have, the tax changes made let you have a more simple plan, and simple is always better, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Um, the other thing is there's always changes in the local law. Now, changes in the local law may not render your plan obsolete, but it may render it less efficient. So that's always something that, again, you weren't in, there's something you couldn't help. It was happening organically or wherever. But if you haven't looked at your plan in 20 years, you haven't been able to take advantage of these updates. And then the other thing is changes in your assets. Talked about the tax code going up, but your assets, they have gone up possibly. Like you may have come in as a young couple with young kids in the early 2000s. you had little kids, you didn't have a lot of money. You were starting out, you were trying to figure out what to do with these guys. You know, now they're older, maybe they're finally out of
Yeah.
college, they're off the mom and dad train, and now your assets have grown. And so that may take your plan in a different direction. Maybe you want to go more a little bit more complicated because you have a little bit more. Um, you have more to, maybe you're not at 15 million or 30 million, but you have more money, you can do more with it. You're
Yeah.
creating your legacy, right?
That is so funny. I do know someone who was like, oh, and it sounds so crazy. We were at a charity event last year, and he's like, oh, I have so much money. I don't know what to do with it. I got a trust for my son, trust for this one. Like, I wish I could have these type of problems. But,
Yes.
and then he was talking to someone at the charity about donating money to here, and I'm like listening and I'm like learning. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm like, if you have it, I guess these are things that you do, but you really need to have a plan in place. I mean, he's 65. So I
Right.
can't believe I actually heard him say, well, "What am I gonna? I don't know what I'm gonna do with my money." And it's like, wow, yeah. Some people work so hard. And one thing I just want to ask, like a random question: all these clients you have, and some that do have a lot of money, are they living their lives? Are they happy? Because money does not equal happiness, right? But people who don't have money kind of think so. Just your take: are these people really
I
living their best lives?
well, I think it's a matter of perspective too. I mean, I think like I've known some clients that are, I don't like, from my view, not necessarily living their best life. That
Yeah,
if like I'm like, oh, if I were you, I'd be traveling or whatever. I mean, I can tell you a quick story. I had a client who, um, she was older when her husband passed away, and I think she was going to be way more than comfortable, Jill, for the remainder of her life.
yeah.
She, and I would have calls with her financial advisor occasionally, and we'd say, hey, she was very worried about money, and the financial advisor and I would say, like, she's going to be okay. She can travel. She could eat steak every day of the week, every day of the year, and still have loads of money.
Mm.
And I mean, and I'm not talking like cheap steak, uh, you know,
Yeah,
tenderloin
filet,
and filet, yeah,
fancy
yeah, whatever.
filet.
Exactly. And but it was more how she was wired. So, and I've had other clients who same thing. They have plenty of money, and they do. Um, I think they do try to hang on to it too hard.
Got it.
I tell people my favorite plan is spending it while you're alive.
Yeah, got it. All right. Sorry to digress. I'm just curious. All right. What do
It's
we
an
talk?
interesting question.
Where are we on next? So we still, where did we leave off? I
Okay, so we're
lost
talking
my
about
notes.
sort of how
Yes.
your plan gets outdated. So the other
Yes.
thing is that outdates your plan is changes in your family. You start
Yes.
out with a plan when the kids are little, kids grow up. And then maybe you had guardians for the kids. These are people who are going to raise the kids, and
Mm-hmm.
now the kids are in their 30s, and you still have them going to Uncle Charlie. And well, we're not going to send them to Uncle Charlie in their 30s, but it is a little embarrassing for the you to die with their kids still thinking they needed a guardian at 30 or 40 or however old they are. But the other thing is, now your kids are growing up. You can, basically when they were little, you didn't have them acting as people who were going to take care of your affairs after you passed away. So now you can look at them and say, okay, I don't need my brother Charlie to do things for me. Now my kids can take over. So it's also moving them into place to take care of you when you pass away. Also, and those people, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, sometimes, I mean, they age too. We get older, our siblings get older. So you could be looking at a case where I selected my older brother or sister to do things, and wow, they're now in their 70s or 80s. Maybe it is time to let them go on with their life, you
Yeah.
know. Because
Yeah.
you're worried about, you said living your best life, which I agree with, but now you don't want to saddle your older brother or sister with having to clean up your affairs so they can't live their best life either, right?
No, it's so true. Absolutely. And, let me just ask you,
Sure.
this is, Um, are you, I know you do a lot of personal stuff, but do you also assist with like business succession planning as well to
Yes.
transfer someone's business and that type of thing? Because that's a whole nother facet, I'm sure, but you can do that as well.
Right. And that's kind of what you want to like and that's where the business owner and get them focused on, okay, now I've worked really hard to build the widget making factory, and it's hopefully running like a, smooth, well-oiled machine or
Yeah.
whatever. And now you're going to look at transferring it to the next generation. And that can be, and it can be hard.
Yeah.
because I think you could say, I'm just going to leave everything to my kids, which is one way to do it. But you may have kids that are not involved in the business
Mm-hmm.
and they get in it, they get part of this business. And I'm not saying they shouldn't share in the wealth, but
But
you don't necessarily want them to have a say in the business, right? Because they don't know how to build the widgets or,
yeah.
you know, whatever that looks like. So it's sometimes it's looking at, yeah, like with my kids, who is best suited to take take ownership of this, and family wealth, planning is for the business is definitely a different dynamic where people do have to, you know, think about it and kind of focus on it,
And
because
let me, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm fine. Go
And
ahead.
what happens in the event, okay, if you have everything set aside and your assets are protected, you have everything written up, but can you protect assets from people coming after you, like lawsuits and stuff like that? Are these types of things protected with law? Like, can people come after you?
So, well, they could. So it depends on what you're going to do. Like you could, like if you had like say you had rental real estate, the best way to protect that from somebody coming after the real estate, if there's a slip and fall or whatever lawsuits out there, is to put it in like either, well, like in an LLC. And what an LLC does, it stands shorthand for limited liability company. Then if you have, let's say, a slip and fall on your rental property, or a slip and fall in the plant where the widgets are being made or whatever, then the creditors have to be satisfied with the assets of the corporation or the LLC. So they can't come after you personally. So if you have $1 million piece of property in the LLC, slip and fall, they can take the property. But if you have, I don't know, $5 million of cash in your own pocket, in Jill's pocket personally, they can't come
Hmm.
after your $5 million worth of cash. So it does provide protection from that,
Got it.
which is important because, if you're a business owner, it screams lawsuits, right? It can. So that's a good way to do it. And it also becomes then also a mechanism to transfer wealth because you aren't transferring the house, or the real estate, you're transferring shares in the LLC. So it makes it tighter. One of the things that can happen is with real estate, and can be particularly nasty. If you and I own a piece of real estate, we use Maryland because that's where I practice, and we just own it, the two of us, and things go fine for a while, and then we decide, I say, look, this is not working out for me. I want out, Jill. And you say, I don't care. I'm not buying you out. You're stuck, Julie. I can go to court and I can sue for what's called partition.
Hmm.
And my experience with these cases, limited as it might be, is the judge doesn't look at why I want to get out or whether it's rational or anything. You can just say at the worst, okay, that's great. I'm going to grant it, and we're going to sell the property basically through a trustee, kind of at the
Hmm.
courthouse steps. So what happens? I get my half, you get your half, but probably if we're selling it through a trustee, not getting fair value for it.
Yeah. Wow. All
You
right. Thank
know,
you so much. Well, there's
yeah.
still so much to talk about. I just want to remind everyone we're here with Julie A. Schejbal, and we're talking really about this work she does. And it's an estate law. We've been learning, so much from her the past few episodes about people doing their estate planning, setting up wills, trust, and all this. And, it's sad that a lot of people don't think about it too often. I mean, you do because you have a lot of clients, but some
Right.
really should get started. So I'm glad she's getting the word out here today. And one of the other things I know today we're talking about the Tax Act, talking about our documents, what we need in place. But what's happening with elder fraud as well? I know that's a topic you wanted to get to as
Sure. I just
well.
want to touch base on that for a minute or a little bit, because I think
Yeah.
it's a big thing, right? Whether, people are getting tapped all the time. We all get texts from somebody who says, hi, Jill, or hi, Julie, this is
Yeah.
Dan. And you're like, who's that human? I didn't even know that was a way. I didn't get caught in it, but I, get these texts. I'm like, who are these people? But, one of the things you can do for elder law or elder fraud is if you have I think it's one of the most basic things is, and it's not direct, it doesn't, but it does provide some protection, is to have a power of attorney in place. And what a power of attorney does is it gives somebody the ability to handle your financial affairs for you. Doesn't mean you're giving up the ability, but you're also kind of deputizing, making this person official to handle your affairs. So if you did get caught in, by the fraud squad or by in a fraud thing, then your power of attorney, maybe one of your children, could step in and kind of take care of hopefully unwinding this fraud and figuring out where you need to go to fight it, or at least maybe they can take steps. Maybe you got hit once, it's too late, but
Hmm.
you could um, they could close your bank accounts and help you transfer the money to a separate account away from the fraud actors. They also, if you and I talk to children about this a lot, that if mom or dad is you know older and unfortunately appears to have lost capacity, let's get a certificate from the doctor that says that, not because we want mom and dad declared incapacitated, but what it can do is, if they get caught in, some sort of type of fraud scheme, we can possibly undo it by the fact that they did not have the capacity to contract. So it can protect and put the brakes on ongoing fraud. And then I think for people out there who are older, who, you know, are still handling their own affairs, I mean, one of the things is use some, not, when I say use common sense, that sounds really derogatory. I don't mean it, but,
No, I know. I
you
know what
know,
you mean. Yeah.
be careful and, be lazy. Like sometimes they'll get you from say, oh, well, Jill, I'll fix your problems. Go to Target and buy me $2,000 worth of gift cards. Your
Yep.
first reaction should be, I'm not leaving my house. I'm too comfortable and I will not go to
Hmm.
Target and buy these gift cards. You can put, certain simple things like that, but it is a big problem. And then you also have it coming from inside the family, right?
Yeah, this I'm
Elect
curious about.
So in that case, I mean, it's hard for me as the attorney because I meet mom or dad, we talk to them, and they say, "Oh, well, you know, Mary's going to be our power of attorney," and I presume Mary is trustworthy and will do a good job, and has is on the ball, whatever it looks like. I have no way to evaluate whether Mary is duplicitous or not, and so I think it's a little bit up to the clients to take a step back, think about their kids, and say, oh yeah, that kid would, she's a decent kid, but man, I know if she had access to my bank accounts, she would not necessarily strip me, but definitely manipulate things to her benefit. And so don't select that person.
Yeah.
Select the person you think is, evaluate your children and say, okay, this person would take advantage of me or take advantage of his or her siblings. I will put, the one that's more moderate in place.
Got it. Well, I just have a question, and it's a personal experience.
Sure.
My mother passed away 8 years ago. My dad, my sister and her husband, our two kids, moved in with my father, and she's there to, take care of him, which she does, and she
Mhm.
feeds him and she everything. And, the plan was, unfortunately, my mom did this reverse mortgage. We didn't know why, and then we let it go, and then it became $112,000, and we didn't pay anything when she passed. So, long story short, I had to take a lot of my dad's money, start paying that down, and my
Right.
sister was supposed to make payments every month. She never did. I did some investigating. My sister's still one of my best friends, but this is true last year. So last May, I'm looking at my dad's savings account and there's $3,000 in it. I'm like, what's going on? There was like $80,000 a few years ago, and we're all connected on the Citibank accounts. And I'm looking and I start doing my research. I printed everything out. I'm highlighting and I see she's making Zelle payments to her and her husband, at least $2,500 a month. And I'm just like, wait a sec. I let it go. All these years I saw she must be paying my dad's bills, this and that, and she doesn't
Right.
pay anything to live there. And I'm not happy about that because that's and if he passes, the house goes to me, my brother, my sister. Well, I
Yeah.
had to confront my father and say, Jen is stealing from you. I said, we love her, and she's not doing it because she has a gambling problem. It's out of necessity. Her and her husband don't make much money. So I can empathize and understand. But the fact for 3 years she was robbing him blind and I didn't know. Sorry, Jen, I'm talking about
Right.
this. It's true. And to this day, my dad's upset. We didn't have a big family meeting about it, but I told her I calculated up to $42,000 and then I stopped. I got to like 2023. And then I'm
Mhm.
thinking what happened before that. So, and I just feel like there's no remorse. My sister, now, in a case like that, my sister is on his account. So and I would never convict her, but in a situation like this, I mean, would my dad have to like testify, or because she's on the account too, it's okay? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like
Okay, well,
trust
so I
fraud.
think you hit on a problem. If she's on the account as a joint owner, and I talk to clients about this a lot,
Yeah.
is and some people they like the idea of joint owner because what it does do is it gives you access to the account. You can pay bills. Dad doesn't have to worry if he goes in the hospital or goes
Yeah.
travels or whatever. But the problem you create is your sister is a joint owner on that account.
Got it. So there's,
So,
I mean, not that we would ever
yeah.
prosecute, but it's sad. And until this day, she's like, I'm going to pay him back, going to pay him back. She hasn't paid back anything. But I just want people to realize it can happen. Even when you trust your sister, your family who take care of your father, it happened to us.
Well, right. And then the
So
other part is that, let's say that hadn't happened, right? Because I hear this, I trust my kids, they won't take my money. And I always say, I wish I had a big jar in the corner that I collected a quarter for that
yes,
because I'd be retired. But the problem with it is too, is that she now owns half of that. Well, she owns half that account. And if she had a creditor issue, gambling, credit cards, a car accident, her creditors could take half of it. And, you know,
yeah,
they don't and they're not going to care what the purpose was, that it was just
got it.
there for help dad. So if you want to add a child to the account, the better way to do it is either uh, a situation called convenience or signatory or
Okay,
power of attorney, and they're all three kind of it's the same idea. And the idea is that person has the ability to write checks or pay bills. They
got it.
don't own it.
Got
So
it.
then the creditors can't take it. Mom or dad
Mm-hmm.
dies, it goes part of the estate. So that's a more, better way to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, my dad doesn't have much, and he had like 80,000,
Yeah.
but that's still to me that was much, and now it's gone.
Yeah,
And now
exactly.
I took control of everything. I do the bills. And she has to text me every time she has to pay for his prescription or something, and she just texted me today. Dad's saying he's going to pay for half of the vet for their dog. Dad wants he's going to help me half the bill. I'm like I now am like the money manager, but it's like
Right.
I took his $3,000 savings and I put it in my own account. I'm not going to steal from him, but so she
Right.
doesn't feel tempted to dip into it. But
Yeah.
anyway, I got to thank you for this and letting me share
Sure.
this as well. Um,
No worries.
be careful, it can happen. How do we contact you, sweetheart?
So you can reach me at my email, which is Julie, Julie, at jasstatelaw.com, or you can contact me through my website, which is www.jasstatelaw.com.
Perfect. Always a pleasure having you. Thank you.
It
Great
was great.
topics, great conversation, and we'll be in touch hopefully soon.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the summer.
You too, sweetheart. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.